A very warm welcome wherever you're watching, and welcome to this CNBC debate live from Davos. The timing of this event is extraordinary. We've just had the European Central Bank step up to the plate with a QE program that the markets have decided they can work with. The topic of our debate here today is recharging Europe, and no doubt we're going to talk a little bit in the context of recharging Europe about what QE is going to mean for Europe going forward. I have a wonderful panel here for you today, so let's introduce them. Let's start with Wolfgang Schäuble, the German finance minister. Welcome. George Soros is here from the Soros Foundation. We have Ignazio Visco, the governor of the Italian Central Bank. George Osborne, the UK Chancellor. And Luis de Guindos, sitting right next to me, the Spanish finance minister. Thank you for all being with us on this CNBC debate, and thank you, our audience, for the very warm reception. So let us get started here with the first question.
Fresh in their memory of what happens when economic policy is short-termist, fails, relies on borrowed money, and I'm confident the British Republic don't want to go back.
George Soros, let me come to you. You have said that you are not as bullish on the current state of the market, on the markets, as many who are active in the markets seem to be at this point. One of the important elements of QE and the kind of restoration of confidence that Chancellor Osborne has talked about is the need for the markets also to allow animal spirits, to a certain extent, to run their course, and there to be risk-taking by entrepreneurs. All of this may fall to naught if the markets don't work with the bankers and with the finance ministers. What are the risks here, do you think, that we don't get that release of risk-taking and animal spirits?
Well, you need less uncertainty. So to the extent you have, let's say, instability in exchange rates, that's a negative. Insofar as you have political uncertainties, and I would like to emphasize, because most of the disturbing things today, things that can go wrong, are actually political, and we've been focusing here only on the economy, and I think we would make a big mistake not to consider the political situation globally. That's really...
You're not just talking about George Osborne not getting re-elected in May. This is something else.
No, I'm talking about, for instance, the threat posed by Russia, a resurgent Russia. The European public and apparently many of the leaders are not sufficiently aware of that danger. And Europe doesn't behave like an association of countries that is under attack. So that's one of the major uncertainties, and it's really up to the international authorities to provide Ukraine the financial support that it needs in order to stand up to an actual military and financial assault, which is an assault on the very foundations of the values that the European Union is based on. So that's one very important thing we should talk more about. But on the whole, I think there is a very positive development coming from the central bank. Unfortunately, it's the only instrument that is actually acting. There is a lack on the fiscal side, but you should nevertheless not underestimate the importance of the sheer physical mass of money pouring into the markets. And I'm sure that there'll be lots of animal spirits, but they'll be devoted more to making more money than actually making long-term investments.
Thank you. Minister Schäuble, could I get Germany or the German perspective on Russia as George Soros expounds it?
I think it is a little bit difficult to touch this very difficult issue in 1 minute in a discussion when we have, of course, the political framework is of most important, by sure. And of course, we have German government, German federal chancellor, together with all their colleagues. We have cared whatever we can do. It's a difficult situation. We don't. But I don't think that we are, to be very frank, the right forum to discuss in a serious way the Ukraine issue as well. That makes that, of course, political uncertainty is always a bad framework for growth. But if we want to discuss the Ukraine-Russian issue serious, we should ask maybe our colleague foreign ministers and so on, and not to do it by occasion in 2 minutes. That makes no real sense.
All right. Well, let's just point out that there are 7 elections at least in key economies across the Eurozone. I think the political issue is going to be significant in terms of risk this year. I think Spain has an election to come at the end of the year. So let's not just focus on the UK, but you're one of many countries that are facing this political vs economic challenge this year. Is there in any sense a real risk that we might see the EU founder through this political process?
Well, you are totally right. In the case of Spain, we have two elections. We have general elections at the end of the year, and we have regional and local elections at the end of May. No? Well, that's democracy. I think that, the point, in my view, the important point is that, for instance, in the case of the Spanish voter is wise, is sensible, is mature. I think that the Spanish voter is going to look backwards, is going to see where we stood 3 years ago. We were in the eye of the storm. We were on the brink. We were on the verge of collapse. And now Spain is growing. There is no room for complacency, for sure, but it's growing. We are outperforming our European and Eurozone partners. We have much better fundamentals in terms of macroeconomics. And the Spanish voter knows perfectly that political stability